Andy, you've been appointed to referee the 2024 Emirates FA Cup Final between Manchester City and Manchester United. How much are you looking forward to the occasion?
Oh, I can't wait. Obviously, you get the phone call and the enormity of the game sort of hits home. But in the build-up, you're watching the I was involved in the quarter-finals, refereeing at Chelsea, and then the semi-finals. And you can't help but think, someone's got to referee the final. Is there a chance it could be me? Perhaps. But to then eventually get the call was unbelievable. Yeah, very much looking forward to it.
And the FA Cup Final is often seen as the biggest domestic game in a referee's career. So how did you find out about the appointment?
Well, I'm just finishing the gym. I'll just get that in there for the sports scientists, just to let them know that I do train. So I'd just finished in the gym, just got back in the car, and a number came up on my phone that I didn't recognise, so I assumed it was a cold call. So I was probably quite rude when I answered it. Hello, is that Andy? Speaking. Andy, it's the referees department at the FA. So I was quite shocked here when I realised who it was.
And that must have been a pretty special feeling.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the one thing that I always remember being a kid, 8, 9 years old, sitting in front of the television, cross-legged at 9 o'clock in the morning, watching, cup final day, players getting onto the coach, the helicopter following the coach all the way into the stadium. So to know that we're going to be a part of that, leading the teams out at Wembley on the day is really, really special.
So I want to take you back to the very beginning. Can you tell us a bit about your refereeing journey that has led you to this appointment?
Yeah, I got into refereeing by accident. I played at a reasonable level, and my brother, who was 2 years younger than me, wanted to do the refereeing course. I wasn't overly fussed about being a referee, but I went along to keep him company on the course. And I got the bug, really. I started refereeing the junior football, moved into open age football, and I started enjoying it. I realised that I could give something back to the game. It was a way of staying fit. I was at university at the time, so a little bit of extra pocket money. But never did I think that it would become a full-time career, lead me into the professional game and ultimately to the 25th of May.
So I imagine along the way there was a lot of commitment and maybe some sacrifices too?
Yeah, you can probably split those into the two. The commitment was probably from myself, making sure that I'm doing the training, not going out with the friends at the weekend, Fridays and Saturday nights, turning up to the events, working hard, training hard, trying to learn. Analysis after the games. The sacrifice, I think, comes more from the family, really. I've got a wife and 2 kids, and in order for me to be in the position that I am, I think it's the sacrifice certainly comes from them, because they've missed out on trips to the seaside on weekends and things like that. So yeah, certainly lots of commitment and sacrifice along the way. And
just like last year, this year's final is also a Manchester derby. Does that derby element form part of your preparations?
Yeah, I think it does. There's, I think we talked earlier, there's an added spice, there's an added element to the game. There's bragging rights at stake. I know that's always the case in a league game as well, but it's a one-off game. There's silverware at stake, and somebody's got to take that piece of silverware back to Manchester. It's just whether it's going to be the blue half or the red half.
And this will be the second time you've officiated this fixture this season, having taken charge of the league game in March. Looking back, do you think that experience will help you and the team deliver at Wembley? Yeah, I think so, because up until doing the game at the Etihad back in early March, as you say, it was the first time I'd done it, so I didn't have I'd done 4th official on the game maybe the year before. But until you get into the middle, you don't have a full understanding of the cauldron that is, a rivalry, a derby day. And let's not forget there's players from Manchester on both sides of the fence as well. Both will be wanting to win. And to see how they react in them situations certainly gives me a little bit more education going into the game as to what to expect. You've officiated at Wembley Stadium on a number of different finals before. Can you reflect on those experiences?
Yeah, I've been lucky enough quite a number of times to referee and an assistant referee when I used to wave a flag around back in the day. So I've been lucky enough to referee the FA Vars final, the FA Trophy final. I've run the line on those as well, as well as refereeing 2 playoff finals, both League One. So yeah, I've been lucky enough to walk out on the hallowed turf a number of times.
With this appointment being your last one of the 23-24 season, how do you reflect on the season as a whole?
Yeah, I think overall the season's gone well. I think it's been a season of opportunities this season, and it was up to me to grab those opportunities, make the most of them. So some of the the top 6 games, some of the derbies. I've been lucky enough, as you mentioned, to do the Manchester derby, referee the Merseyside derby. And I think, you know, in order to get those opportunities, I think you've got to be refereeing well. You've got to be critical as well of your own performances to make sure that you're looking to strive to improve all the time. And I have been quite critical. We've been critical as a team together. There's been some home truths in the changing rooms and after the games, but ultimately it's just to help each other succeed. And ultimately, I think we've peaked at the right time. I think this season.
What do the days leading up to the final look like for you and the team?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably finding that right balance between, you know, understanding that this is the FA Cup final, it's a once in a career opportunity, but at the same time understanding that it's a game of football. We don't want to prepare any different to how we would prepare for any other game, really. We'll eat the right things. We'll have the usual discussions around how we expect the teams to set up, how we would normally prepare for a game. But it's always, I don't think there's any getting away from the fact it will always be at the back of our mind that this is the FA Cup final. So yeah, not to get too carried away. And
on that, refereeing at a sold-out Wembley Stadium must be a special experience. Will you have family and friends watching on in the stadium?
Yes, so I've got my wife and my brother will be coming down on the day, and we've also got probably 5 or 6 other tickets where we've got friends and family coming down. So my children are coming down. Yeah, and I mean every time you go to Wembley, every time you walk out, you never get bored of Wembley. You know, just to walk out to that atmosphere, it just gets better and better every single time. So to walk out, like you say, there's going to be 90,000. It's going to be a sea of noise, a sea of colour. You know, and it makes the hair stand up on the back of the neck just to think about it. So to know that you've got friends and family in there and some supporters along the way, as well as 30,000 other supporters that'll be sat at home watching the refereeing team on the day, yeah, it'll be a very proud moment. And
finally, you touched on it earlier in the conversation there, but I wanted to read a message that your brother Bobby posted on social media following your appointment to the FA Cup final. So he said, "Incredibly proud of my brother and best mate, Andy Madley, on being selected to referee Manchester City versus Manchester United in the Emirates FA Cup Final. Council house kid to cup final referee. With hard work and commitment, no dream is too big. Dad would be so proud." That must mean a lot to you.
Yeah, I mean, for such a short message, it says a lot, doesn't it, really? I mean, we touched on earlier, we did the course together, we came through together, and never did we expect that we'd make it into the professional game together. We lost our dad 2011, so it was the year that I was promoted onto the Football League, so he never actually saw me referee on the Football League. So yeah, I mean, every time I go out to referee, you know, there's always a thought about him watching down and looking over us, and yeah, I'm sure he would be proud, yeah.